Well, I'm always talking, so I'm just saying.
You are.
I was trying to
talking.
be, yeah, exactly. I was trying to be polite and wait on people to come in the room before I started flapping my trap.
No, you should just flap your trap. That way, when people come in later on, they don't have to wait 5 minutes. That always annoys me when I go on somebody else's channel.
It's called being polite.
Okay.
All right. Oh, trying to scooch me over. I see how it is. Trying to chase me away?
Nope.
You want to do live stream? I'll let you.
Nope.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
You know just as much about what's going on as I do.
Yes,
I know. They're watching us right now.
I know different things. I know different. Oh, see, there's people. Now you can talk.
See, look.
So there you go. Go ahead and talk.
How's it going, guys? I hope you enjoyed our banter. We're very good at it. I'm telling you, it comes from my papa and granny. Anyways, guys, I know I promised you guys 2 videos the other week, and it didn't work out. 2 reasons. One is because God told me the stuff that I was going to say that I wasn't supposed to, so I had to shut up. And the other is the news and the information coming out is happening so rapid pace that it's almost impossible to keep up with it. I make 1 video, and then the next day I would have to make 2 videos to cover what's happened in a 24-hour period. It's not good. It is not good. I mean, we've seen the stuff going on with the people that are pushing for the abortions and all of this stuff. As a matter of fact, most people aren't aware of it, but the Satanic Temple has gotten directly involved in this as well. Who was it that got sent?
It was, well, I don't want to give up any names, but it was a friend of mine. Her 17-year-old daughter got an email from the Satanic Temple recruiting her. And this was before the leak for what Roe v. Wade, unless they may have already known about that was going to happen. I don't
Possibility.
know. But this is before that, just a few days before that. But it was a recruitment letter trying to recruit her to basically counter protest, to go to crisis pregnancy clinics and hand out their own information about, basically trying to suggest that the crisis pregnancy centers were some sort of bait and switch campaign, and trying to basically counter protest and counter evangelize, the Satanic Temple, and it's disgusting.
And they were sending out advertisements to anyone that they thought would fit the bill.
Yeah.
These little people that have no sound understanding of politics, Christianity, what it means to actually have life in your hands or to take a life. And, they're just easily influenced.
Which no teenage girl, and I don't care how, because, even my daughters are, of course I'm biased, but I consider them heads above their peers, most of them. But even they, there's just something about your brain is not fully developed until you're like 25, the front, hippocampus and all that stuff. And so you just think differently. By the time you're 30, by the time you're 25 to 30, you have different perception of life and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, but a teenage girl has no idea what all, they just really don't. They see very short term. They see the moment they're in right now.
Yeah.
And not the long-term effects of stuff like that. I'm not trying to be dismissive or take anything away from because obviously I was one at one time, but I can look back at myself and say, yeah, I didn't know anything. Even though I was in the middle of a very, I had lived a lot of life by the time I was a teenager. But
well, it's a tale as old as time when it comes to the Luciferians and the occult. They prey on those that are weak and ignorant. That's exactly what they do, and traumatized.
They prey on those who are traumatized, which I was, and so many today are. There's not very many kids these days coming out of intact families. A lot of people have some sort of level of trauma.
Oh yeah. Hands down. But I mean, it's, like I said, it's no different than what Garner did, when he joined the ancient Druidic rituals and filled them in with Crowley's Satanism and passed off as Wicca.
Right.
There's absolutely no difference there.
Right.
I mean, you prayed on the weak, so you got all these people running around now. Oh, I'm Wiccan. We don't harm anybody. We're not Satanists. That's because you're stupid and you don't know where Wicca came from. Do some research.
Even the word stupid, but anyway.
What? People are stupid.
No.
Yes. Yes. Having the information 100% available to you at the touch of a button and you refusing to look at it is nothing more than stupidity. That's not ignorance at that point. That's you being willfully dumb.
Well, what we have going on now, though, is that people are getting so overwhelmed with bad news and crisis and all that stuff at such rapid fire pace that they are, and it's happening in the middle of, a lot of censorship. And so they don't know. I mean, they're just trying to survive from day to day, most people. And so I really feel, and to be honest, I have given up on a lot of, I have often thought maybe we should back up and start with like talking about 9/11. And maybe then if we kind of expose some of that, then people can get their minds around the fact that, yes, the government has been infiltrated. And yes, they actually would do something like depopulation or mass blood rituals and things like that. But because, I've kind of even given up on trying to get people up to speed on a large scale, because it's like, man, if you hadn't been keeping up, I don't know where to start.
So far behind the curve at this point. It's like, I mean, you really can't even start with 9/11 to catch them up. You got to go all the way back to Aleister Crowley's influence during World War II. While the men were out fighting the war, he was over here, tainting the women and exposing them to Satanism. And then you have to go forward from there.
Right. But I mean, a lot of people can, they can start to get their head. I think the thing is that people, in this country, they really still kind of believe, because they've been programmed to believe it's government by the people, for the people, etc. And these are representatives that we've elected, and so they feel like they have bought into ownership. So they feel like we wouldn't do that. We would not perpetrate this on other people, but
how well has that worked out for them over the last 2 years?
Well, the fact is that they just haven't. They just don't. People can't get their mind around the fact that they really do something like that. I mean, it's a disconnect. It's cognitive dissonance. They just can't perceive of our own government actually doing such evil shenanigans.
Well, that's because they don't want to look at the truth. I mean, it's just like people like Tim Pool, right?
Yeah.
I like Tim Pool. I think he's a very opinionated and a very intelligent man. But he outright says that he hates conspiracy theories and stuff like that, and has had Alex Jones on before and just brushed off, certain things like Operation Paperclip. Of course, he'll admit that took place, or Operation Mockingbird, right? Mm-hmm. And it's because he lacks understanding in it. It's like, you can't say that this never happened. I've got the videos of the director of the CIA's testimony for implementing the project. I've got the paperwork that shows that it was never ended. All it did was transform and mutate. Once you get to a certain point, you don't have to pay people off, because you're hiring people that are that stupid and that left-leaning to begin with.
So, speaking of Operation Paperclip, I actually just started listening on Audible to a book called Operation Paperclip. I don't know if there's more than one that have that title, but anyway, a couple of things just stood out to me. Well, there's a whole lot to chew on just listening to all of the stuff going on. But one of the things was the fact that, after, you had this alliance of nations that were coming together. You had Joseph Stalin, and then Roosevelt was the president here. And then there was one other that was trying to come to an agreement of what to do with these war criminals. And Stalin surprisingly wanted them to stand trial. Roosevelt wanted them to, like, you know what, I can't remember now, but I was just, because I've just been consuming so much information. But anyway,
It's exhausting, isn't it?
it is. There's so much, but the thing that I was kind of chewing on as I was listening to it, because I'm running around, was the fact that there was a public theater, there was a public show of we're going to get these guys. They put them on trial for war crimes, and there was going to be no compromise. This alliance of nations said that there would be no compromise with Germany at all. Forget it. So they're publicly, the hammer was brought down, and it satisfied the public as far as, yes, the war's won. We've got this under control, and these people are going to pay. But now we have documented, certifiable evidence that is not at all. There were deals made. The Nazis did not lose the war.
Red Cross, Vatican.
Yes, they just went underground as a party. It wasn't just, and I think that one of the things that we make the mistake of as human beings is by singling out personalities, and thinking that if we take Hitler down, it's like, that guy's crazy. Recently, I've heard many people that have come into my place of work and have started the conversation and started saying, well, Putin's nuts, man, he's just lost his mind, and we got to stop that guy. And there's just such a lack of understanding of the scope of what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And it's such a lack of understanding that you just, with the average person and the average conversation, you just don't even know where to start. And most of the time I just don't,
that's why I'm thankful for people in my life like David.
Yeah.
Because I can tell him, like, here, read this, 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 and this. And he gets on his phone. He's like, all right, I'm ordering this now.
Yes, that's what you have to do. And you have to do it now while there's a shortening window of opportunity to get information. And that's what I keep thinking. It's like, by the time people realize that they need to get serious about getting up to speed, it's going to be gone.
Well, it's already too late as far as a lot of the preparations and stuff goes. If you haven't woken up already and aren't already going into high gear, doing everything you can now, you got about 2 weeks. And
however, me being an optimist by nature, thank goodness one of us needs to be.
I'm a realist.
But I was walking around. I just got home from Kroger picking up stuff for Halo and some other things. And as I'm just walking around, I'm aware, and I'm, just people as around. I can't help but just kind of take in energies and think about who's around, and a few people still wear a mask and that kind of thing. And I just kind of shake my head and think, oh God. But what I really realize on a large scale is the fact that people, it's because they're afraid. People by and large are afraid, and of a lot of things, not just one thing. They're afraid of a lot of things, and the reason they're afraid is because they don't have the security of a real relationship with Christ. And if you do, that's the only place to find peace. It's the only place to find courage. It's the only place to have security. The only place is inside of a relationship with Jesus Christ. And when you have that, then all of that other stuff, you really can put it on a back burner, because you kind of make peace with the fact that, I don't think that I'll die a martyr's death, but if I did, I would consider it an honor, and I would pray that I would be worthy of it. I would pray that the Lord would strengthen me to take it like a man,
Yeah.
even though
I go
don't.
down, I'm taking the
Okay.
bastards with me.
But I mean, I'm not trying to make light of that either by any stretch, but because I really don't think personally that that's going to happen. But I've tried to make peace with it in case, you know what I'm saying? I've made
Yeah.
peace with it. So, but all that to say, my life is not my own. When I was baptized, when I was started for real following Christ, I laid down my life and everything that that means. And so I am just here as an ambassador. I am looking forward to the next life. I'm looking forward to things to come. This life has not been kind to me for the large part. I think one of the things that you and I have in common is the fact that we haven't had an easy life. So it's kind of easy for us to be like, peace out. It's like this is like I'm not attached to it. I'm not holding on to it. I don't have
Well, it's the same here. I get people at work, the people I protect that ask me how I'm so good at my job. I said, because I don't waste time on nonsensical idiocracies. And they're like, what do you mean? I don't waste
Yeah.
time with gossip. I don't care about what new car just came out. I don't care about the sports ball.
Right.
I'm watching for potential threats. That's what I
Right.
do.
Because it's all vanity. And once you really have an understanding and acceptance of the fact that really this is all truly, really, truly all vanity, and passing away, and it's a vapor, it's gonna burn. So the fancy houses, the nice cars, and the things that are all that, we're all human beings. They're all nice. Everybody likes nice things and comfort, but when you have but when you really have the understanding of what's to come, which we don't have, but the fact that it's a lot better than this.
I would love to have a brand new Toyota Supra twin turbo sitting in the driveway, but you know what?
But
it's just not in the cards now, is it?
Right. But the horse you're going to get is going to be really awesome.
And then it's going to be changed to a tether pole just because God knows I'm going to run ahead of everybody else. I already know this is going to happen.
Probably.
All right. Bowman asked a good question.
Okay.
All right. He said, do I have any opinion on how the Black Awakening will unfold in these coming times? I do. Right now, we're seeing a spree of shootings and stuff that are being reported on by the media, and a lot of others that are being buried. Now, some of these things are gang-related, but some of them are like the ones that happened up in Buffalo, New York yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Where the guy shot all the people and everything else, and left the manifesto. It's 180 pages of manifesto, which doesn't make sense if you know anything about active shooters. Usually they'll leave a blog or something like that. I've never known one to leave a 180-page manifesto that clearly outlined that he was a left-wing communist nut job that was extremely racist. And gave the media everything they need to claim it's right-wing and all of this nonsense. And after watching the videos and stuff of him actually in action, I'm fairly confident that he was either a programmed individual or he spent a lot of time training, and military is not in his background. His target acquisitions were fast and on point. His shot placement was almost perfect. His selection, body armor, and firearms and stuff had a militaristic mindset to it. He knew what he was doing. Your average, active shooter doesn't do that. I mean, compare what he did to those that were doing it during Obama's presidency. You see a clear delineation. So, having said that, we're going to continue to see these little spurts because just like under Obama, they're going to activate these guys and try and make big media publicity and hype about it because they're really wanting to push for gun confiscation and stuff like that. This differentiates from the way that it's going to play out globally, however. I believe personally that in the midst of the Third World War, when everything is unraveling, you're going to have people out on the streets and you're going to have riots and protests just like we're seeing over in Iran. They're having food riots in Iran right now because people are upset because they can't afford food. They can't buy anything for their kids to eat or anything else. And you're going to see this in places like Egypt, Iraq, Afghanistan. Any nation that has to import their food, this is where you're going to see it happening at. And you're going to see this eventually hit the U.S. as well. Now, at the peak of the war, once it actually gets going in earnest, and right now you're still watching the strategic positioning of militaristic equipment. Just like Russia today has placed missile launchers and nukes on their border with Switzerland and Finland. And we're also seeing China make its strategic, implications and placing everything around Taiwan, because they are going to move on Taiwan. That's going to happen, mark my words. So once this war actually goes hot and it's boots on the grounds, country after country, nation after nation, at the pinnacle of it, I believe you're going to see the chosen ones get activated. You're going to see people within the police departments turning on the police departments. You're going to see people within the military turning on their own military. You're going to see people that are, people like us that will be attacked because we're on their list or whatnot. You're going to see churches and things like that be attacked. And it's going to be mass chaos and pandemonium. I believe it's going to link directly with the red horse of the apocalypse. And it is going to create so much chaos and bloodshed that once it is stopped, it will set the stage perfectly for the Antichrist.
And I think that right now, those that are being activated individually they're being activated to forward their social engineering agenda.
Yes.
And so like this guy yesterday, and plus I can't help but always notice that it always seems to be an occult number. So he shot, and he did it with such accuracy, 13 people. So it was almost like he was counting, and there's it always seems like an occultic number that, that happens when these shootings. But but anyway, but yeah, that is to move forward their agenda. And I'm telling you, people that are just really convinced of the narrative, the mass media narrative, there's just no conversation. There's just no convincing them. You can show them all the evidence. Yeah. So, and again, once again, I end up switching, it's like, okay, the main thing that I have started to focus on in general with just talking with people is, do you know Christ? Because he is the spirit of truth. He is the spirit of freedom. There is no, we got to start there anyway. We probably should have all along had more emphasis on that anyway.
Well, I try. I try to start there, and then they start yelling and acting like emotional lunatics, and then my sarcasm kicks in, and it makes it worse.
You have zero patience. There's no 0 to 100 on that. But
well, you start yelling at me. I mean, you're gonna elicit a reaction. It's gonna happen. What can I say?
Yeah.
You'll be lucky if all I do is get sarcastic.
Yeah. Well, I've never had a reason to yell at you. So.
You endure my sarcasm constantly anyway, so.
I just laugh at it. So. But anyway, so I have, there was, just as a funny side note, one lady who was an older lady that came into my workplace that you can always tell, especially that generation, the older generation, they don't know how to use their iPhones or cell phones. They don't have computers, or they don't know how to use them. And they've just spent their whole life, listening to Walter Cronkite and stuff like that. So they believe everything that comes through that big screen is gospel truth.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't come through that big screen, it's not even real, much less is it a possibility. So as true. So,
and how many times has CNN been caught faking war footage and stuff like that?
Right. But, yeah. But, anyway, so I was able to help her learn how to use her cell phone, and she was asking me about some news anchor a lady that she was on MSNBC, and she was like, I don't know where she went. And I've tried to call Channel 5 and they won't tell me where she is. And, and I was just kind of laughing because obviously she is on a huge disconnect. So anyway, I was like, well, have you searched it on your phone? And she's like, I don't know how to use it. So I helped her learn how to search the phone, and then I downloaded Rumble. And I was like, and I told her, I was like, you can find how to like fix your kitchen sink on YouTube, but if you really want to know what's going on, you look on there. And I didn't, and I just let the cards fall where they may. I just sort of felt like I did my good deed for the day, and God, Lord, take it from there. So we'll see. But but my number one goal with her, with people like that, is to
Pearl, leave him alone.
pray for them, whether it's through me or through some other means or another person, to meet the Savior. Because at this point, man, that's the only thing that matters anymore. It's like, because it's.
Well, if they don't have Christ, they're under such a strong delusion that they'll never seek truth.
Exactly. They're not going to be won over by arguing about any of these things. You know what I'm saying?
Well, exactly. That's the reason why I don't engage in political debates. It's like, okay, look, I've got more knowledge in my pinky finger than you do your entire brain about the subject you're speaking on, but I'm not going to debate with you on this because it's pointless. You're not going to listen to what I'm trying to tell you.
Yeah. No. And, but anyway, it's, but if they do come to know Christ, and he's so merciful and he's so good, that even with weak faith, which most people kind of start out there, he'll make sure that they're taken care of, and that's how we're going to eat in the coming months, years. That's how we're going to be gathered unto him whenever that happens. That's all of it. I mean, I just completely trust him. I just have complete trust. And the reason I have complete trust is because I have been there. I have been on the streets of Memphis as a young teenager by myself with no support and I have looked around on in the parking lot for change days, weeks at a time. At the time, I would buy 89-cent burritos at Taco Bell, but I could find at least that much,
It's a $4 burrito.
Probably, but what I remember that number, I remember it being whatever I got, it was about that at the time. And, but the Lord didn't abandon me then. I should have died. I should have, there were so many things that happened. I look back on it now. And of course, when we're still involved in rescue efforts now, which now, good grief, the difference between then and now with what the level of control and the level of brainwashing is so intense. It's pretty massive, but the Lord can break through any of it. But all that to say, I don't have fear because I've been there before. I don't have fear for the future because I know how to sit on the ground and just be. If there's nothing left but you and the ground under your feet, I've done it before. And the Lord he sustained me somehow, and he was good to me. And he used people. The worst part of that whole time for me was loneliness. That was the worst thing for me. That's still a trigger for me, but, and work in progress still. But
I'm just used to it.
Yeah, well, I think everybody has a different, everybody has a thing that's their thing that's kind of like hard to crucify. Mine is loneliness. And actually, the Lord has actually used my marriage with Jason to give me opportunity to work on that, because Jason, with his PTSD stuff, he'll go through cycles where he withdraws, and he's very kind. He doesn't abandon me in so many terms. and he's very kind to me, and he'll make sure to sort of reach out and let me know, like, hey, I'm still here, I still love you, but I'm dealing with stuff. And he'll go through, usually it's about a 3 or 4 day cycle where he'll kind of withdraw into this emotional shell, but it's enough to trigger me, and it's enough to cause me to feel that sense of abandonment, even if it's not a true abandonment. So it what it does for me in my personal walk with the Lord is it gives me going an opportunity to sort of go to the gym and work on that. Now, don't get me wrong, hate it. I hate it every moment of it, but I submit to the Lord. I submit to the process because it's just once again, my life is His. I lay it down, and I get my orders from Him. So it just is
Just
what
like
it
I
is.
have to heal from trauma related stuff. That's same thing goes for you.
Yeah,
Because that all stems from trauma from your childhood.
it does.
Me and you just handle it differently.
Right. And I'm sure have different triggers and whatnot. But yeah. But there couldn't be a kinder person, truly, truly, there couldn't be a kinder person to go through it with. I'm so, so grateful for how kind this man is. He's so good. He's a good man.
I try. Most time. I tell you all the time, I haven't killed anyone in years. I'm doing good.
You're
It's true.
if there is such a thing as good man, but you know what that means.
I may have wanted to, but I haven't done it.
Your mouth is probably the worst. It's probably the worst thing, but when the rubber meets the road, you're a good man.
Well, like I said, I try my best to keep principles in line.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. We got off track, but we were somewhere on Satanic Super Soldiers and the Black Awakening. Was that sufficiently answered? Black Awakening. And I think that is kind of a good educated guess. Nobody really knows, you know what I'm saying? They being the coven members, they also are taking marching orders from their commander, Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a limited amount of knowledge that they have. And not only that, is that the fact that they all that Satan and his demons can do is they make plans, they implement plans, but the timing belongs to the Lord. The timing always belongs to the Lord. He allows it to unfold when it works with His plan only.
Yeah.
So they, if you've ever, you hear sort of like the crystal ball fortune tellers. That's Halo, the dog. I knew that was going to happen. I was like, what's going to happen if he lays here? Anyway, that's a whole other. He's a good dog. He just has digestive issues. But anyway, so now I'm really off track. What was I saying? I'm saying something.
You're talking about Lucifer may have plans.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So thank you. So the the carnival fortune teller type of person, if you've noticed the fact that they say what they predict will be certain things like, oh, you're gonna, I don't know, meet a man, and they'll do things that are seductive. They'll do things that are tantalizing to make you think, "Ooh, I'm going to finally find love or finally find whatever." But then they also throw out little things that that are dangerous. It's like you're going to have a wreck on, or brother's going to be involved in a wreck next Tuesday or whatever. But the way they do that is then they summon and send forth their demonic minions to go try to make that happen. It doesn't mean they'll succeed, but that is their way of prophecy. They're just telling you what their plans are. It doesn't mean that they're actually going to succeed at them. This is what they're planning and what they're going to try to implement to do, which is why they're constantly changing the timeline on their scale, changing the timeline of what they're saying. It's like, oh, these are, we're going to do, this is our big new world order plan. It's going to be implemented by such and such day.
Well, that's the reason why the work like that the Watchmen do, Steve and Doug and, all those guys, is important, because people don't understand that the Luciferians, they have plan A all the way through Z, and then it doesn't stop with Z. It goes from 1 to 7,000, right?
Right.
Everything is micro details. And if one part of it gets exposed, then they simply backpedal on that, shift gears, and put in something new just to make up for it.
And what is also very true, and this is as true as we're sitting here, is that one Christian that has a real relationship with Christ, with one single prayer, can destroy generations of work in the dark kingdom, because the way they do it also with the generational satanic programming and whatnot is that whenever one person dies, their power, their demons, their energies will be transferred, or at least they'll try to transfer it to the next, and then to the next, and to the next. So as it goes,
that's the reason why they take apprentices.
Right. And so as they go down the line, it supposedly is building this greater and greater power that the next person is going to inherit, which is why they have to operate in secret. This is why Satan has to operate in stealth mode, because he really doesn't have authority. He only has the authority that he can trick human beings into handing over to him. At the fall, in Genesis, the Lord gave the authority of the earth to mankind. Subdue the earth. This is your domain. You have dominion in this realm. Subdue it, take care of it, do right by it, etc. So the demons, being bastard children of the fallen angels,
dirty bastards.
They're of the fallen angels, they have no right here. They're earth born, they're earth bound. They can't traverse into the heavens as the angels can. They're bound to this realm.
Depends on your understanding of the heavens. They can traverse the astral plane at any point in time they wish.
True, but they're limited as far as the angelic,
the reach.
The angelic host. But all that to say, they don't have the authority. What they do, but they are more intelligent than human beings. So what they do is they have to manipulate and trick people and to subvert the authority. So they get you to enter into contracts, whether you realize that's what you're doing or not. There's the fine print where you're coming into agreement. And make no mistake about it, if demonic oppression can get you to come into agreement with lies of the enemy, even to the degree of self-deprecating lies, such as I'm unworthy, I'm nobody, God doesn't like me, even those kind of things are coming into agreement and handing authority over to the demonic realm. And they utilize that to wreak havoc. And so it's only through the truth of Scripture that you can regain the authority that's rightfully yours, that you can, through Christ, right? There's only one truth, and that is the truth of the word. And that is the absolute, it's the sword. It's the one thing that actually tears down strongholds. And so that's how that works in a nutshell. So I don't know how I got off on that.
You saw a squirrel.
I did. And then I was like, here's my never mind, acorns. So. Okay.
Sorry, I'm just looking to see if anyone else asked a question other than Mark. Spirit War Diaries, I hate to say it, but winning or losing Roe v. Wade is kind of irrelevant because all that happens if they dismiss Roe v. Wade is it goes back to the way it was before and it becomes a states' right issue rather than a federal issue. So you're still going to have states like California, Colorado, New York, Chicago, the extremely liberal states that will not only allow abortion, but they'll strengthen their resolve on it and introduce legislation that will allow women to kill their infants even after they're born. So
I have a feeling that issue is only going to get more
divisive.
Yeah.
It will. Because the people that are super emotional and defending the right of abortion are emotional idiots for the most part.
Well, hold on. Let me expand on that just for a second.
Wit, Pearl.
This is what happens when all the dogs are in one
Yes,
space.
it is.
What a lot of times happens is that women who, or even men, but what my observation has been women who have had abortions, because a lot of women have. I mean, once again, when we're dumb, young and dumb, everybody has that period of being young and dumb, and good grief.
That's it.
Sorry.
Y'all are getting out. Out.
1 second.
Go on.
Come on.
Shoot.
I'll be right back. Come on.
All right, Lolo.
He can stay.
Yes, Halo can stay. You were a good boy. You were just lying there. Sorry, Pearl, our adoptee, likes to pester everybody else.
Oh my goodness.
She thinks she has to. Yes, well, she thinks she has to constantly be cuddled or played with.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so women they feel very defensive about their decision for obvious reasons. The alternative, you either have to defend and continue to justify that decision, or the alternative to that is that you have to admit that it was murder of your own child, and that's just a really hard thing for people to do, and that is totally understandable. But that's the like you said, the emotional ties to the subject. The emotional ties to the subject cause people to close their ears to the reality, to sound logic, and sound arguments. But in that vein, here's is a good thing. Once again, and like I said, I have really switched. I guess the direction of my thought process, because at this point it's like I feel like it's almost the train is like heading down the track so downhill so fast.
It's a bullet train at this point.
At this point, it's like we just need to know who Christ is, and that's really the only thing that's going to matter at the end. But even if you if you've participated in any way, shape, or form in abortion, you can absolutely, God is so merciful. He is so good. I mean, repentance is freedom. And repentance has gotten such a bad rap. It's had such a negative connotation. And I think the reason it has such a negative connotation is because for years it's been used as a hammer, as a weapon by street preachers who yell at people in a,
you're going to hell.
Right. And so it's repent or go to hell and that kind of thing. And so the word itself has been adopted, it's gotten a bad connotation. But repentance is in its true meaning is freedom. All and it's so easy. It's hard to turn around and face yourself. That's the only hard part is being honest with ourselves. But it's so easy to say, I was wrong, Lord, forgive me. And he swoops in with overwhelming love and freedom, and he lifts it off of you, and you no longer have to bear that burden. And that's what people need. That's what people need to understand. And so the arguments, the way I see it is the arguments on all of these topics tend to go horizontally, like this, that, and so
Oh,
people lock horns.
well, it's one of those things. Repentance needs to be taught with proper understanding. You know,
Right.
repent means to turn away from. Well, there are some sins that you are triggered into action on because of trauma and stuff from your past. How can you repent from something when a trigger mechanism can cause you to deliberately go to that sin and you don't understand why? If you don't understand the trauma that caused it and the root cause of the issue and allow God to come in and heal that trauma, then how can you ever truly repent and overcome the sin in general?
Why don't you answer that?
I just did.
You asked a question. I don't know that you answered it.
Well, and it's true though. I mean, the church teaches very little understanding on these subjects all the way
Right,
through.
right.
Uh,
They avoid it.
exactly. They
Yeah.
avoid it. They don't want to acknowledge that anyone in the world has ever had horrifically terrible, traumatizing events done to them, whether that be incest, rape, sodomy, torture, satanic ritual abuse. They want to just bypass all that. Oh, we're just on this cruise ship and everything's fine. Jesus is love. God is all love. There's no vindication or justice. You're not held accountable for anything you do. Go forth and sin as you want to. He'll forgive you. And meanwhile, people like us with understanding, we're just sitting there like,
That's
you're a
how
special kind of jackass, aren't you?
Well, that's how the enemy keeps people bound and shackled.
Well, and that's
That's
the point. So we have to find people that have understanding of trauma and its psychological effects and the effects that it has on the soul and the tethers that it keeps tied and chained to the demons and the enemy that work these people like puppets,
mhm,
you know? Because unless you, let's take lust for an example.
mhm,
There's a lot of people out there that deal with it. Then, masturbation, pornography, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And a lot of these people want to break that, and for some people, it's just a force of habit, a sin that they've allowed into their lives, and it can be overcome with something as simple as repentance. But there's others that were molested when they were children,
mhm,
or have been put through ritual abuse, or were taken advantage of by an older man or woman when they
mhm,
were young, and
mhm,
that tainted their innocence, that destroyed
mhm,
it, that robbed them of something that God had placed in them. And that allowed the enemy to have a stronghold there. And until they understand that what happened to them was not their fault, despite what everyone else said, was not their doing, but was the actions of someone else that was an attack on them and an affront to what God founded them to be, then healing cannot progress. And if they cannot be healed, then that trigger is always going to be present.
yep. In which case, we do need to approach people with compassion and patience, um, which is why I like to try to listen a lot more than I don't like to overwhelm people with just arguing with them. I like to listen and find the right moment and the right words and the right door to connect so that they can actually receive from the Lord, because that's really what matters.
I try, but then they make me mad.
Everybody has their gifts, honey. It's not necessarily yours.
Eh,
You're really smart though. um,
Take what I can get.
Sometimes maybe you should just like those are the times when you like. You met Janice, like she's here. She's nicer probably for this. Right?
That's the reason why I just kind of pass people to you. It's like over there. She's nicer than I am.
Well,
at least I can admit it. Step one in overcoming a problem is acknowledging that you can have one.
Yes, yes, that's true.
My issue is that sometimes I don't think it's a problem.
You're a work in progress. It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any other questions or anything that I missed? Let's see. Let's see here. I'm down. Let's go hunting.
He can't wait. Yeah, if anyone ever sees a Nephilim, yeah, he literally cannot wait. If there's a way to wormhole to it, he would totally wormhole to
Nephilim, cryptid, werewolf,
yes.
vampire. I don't care. I'm down. Let's go.
Yeah.
It's funny. Kenny Say and I were chatting on Facebook the other day, and he was talking about eventually getting out to Calico Base Camp, Jamie's area and whatnot. I told him, I said, we should plan a trip together and let's go at the same time. He said, really? I said, yeah, we can go hunt some blurry creatures while we're out there.
Oh gosh, to be like sitting there waiting on Bigfoot. It'll never happen. It's like watching a, water boil.
That's because they've never been with someone like me.
True.
I guarantee you I'll be like a magnet.
Or the opposite. You don't know.
Depends on if they're curious or not. I'm only there to kill you if you try to kill me first. You attack me, you had this coming. All right? That's all I have to say. Off their heads.
Yeah, if you guys ever plan everybody does a field trip to go Nephilim hunting, good grief. I'm not suggesting that, by the way, but I'm sure that you'd have some takers.
I am.
Better use of your time. Better use of your time. If the Lord would bring them to you if he wanted that confrontation. I'm not asking for it, personally.
The only reason why we haven't had them on our lawn already is because they leave once I start to come outside. All right?
That's actually true. Yeah.
Cowards.
Wow. Look, you have some takers.
Yeah, see?
Yeah. We want to go Nephilim hunting.
That's right. We need to.
I don't. Nope.
You were just talking about, we were watching Journey to the Center of the Earth last night. You were talking about how you would go.
I would go.
That would be interesting. Yes,
because it's an adventure. I would go in that movie that was completely implausible because they're a lost loved one.
How do you know it's an Operation High Jump? How is that implausible?
They were going to find out about their brother, and I was thinking they were going to find him alive. Is what I thought. That was the only plot twist of the movie to me. The other thing was, all of the other things that were. There's a lot of movies I've never seen, by the way, because I didn't have a normal life, and so he is. I've seen more movies since I've been married to him. He's like, "You've never seen this?" Nope.
See, look, it's very possible. Yeah.
No.
I got back up.
No. Okay, well, hold on. The scene where they get onto the coal mining carts and they're zooming through and that's thing.
Hollywood suspension of disbelief.
That's what I'm talking about. Then they all three of those carts jump and leap onto the tracks and they all land exactly on the tracks. Those are the things I'm saying are implausible, not the whole center of the earth idea. All of the different things that happen in there. I'm like, no. And I'm a horrible person to watch a movie with because I'm like, that never happened. I was like, they never made that jump. You see the hole in this? You and me, let's go together. All right.
See, I'm with
So,
Mark. You, him, and Jamie.
yes.
Wait. We got to pick up Vicky's dad. We got to pick up her dad. We have to.
Oh my gosh,
He's got to come too.
He totally has to come. Yes. Vicky Joy, her dad. What a guy. He's coming with.
Oh yeah. God, I love that guy.
He's so funny. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on. Like I said, it's one of those things. I hope everybody's getting their preparations, their final stuff in order as best they can, because they're talking about rationing diesel fuel here within the next couple of weeks. And when that happens, well,
Right.
you're going to see food prices and everything that's hauled by trucks skyrocket. Trucks, trains,
Yep.
anything.
Ask the Lord what you're called to do, because everybody will have a different place in the process. And if your place is to be mobile, and you may need to be light, have a light load and be able to move. If your place is to be stationary and feed others, then that's when the stockpiles and stuff will be useful. Not everybody's going to have the same role in the body, in the body of Christ. So
yeah. Where do I buy ammo? Anywhere that has it. Palmetto State Armory is good. Ammo Supply Warehouse. Academy occasionally has stuff that's worthwhile. Depends on what caliber. Like I said, I try and keep my stuff simple. Near about all of our handguns, a couple of our ARs are a 9mm. Other than that, I have 5.56 and 12 gauge. The only unique round that I have in my collection is my sniper rifle, and that's in 6.5 Creedmoor, which unfortunately has gone from what it was back in the day, where I was paying, about 75 cents a round. Now it's like $2 a round. So that makes that a little harder to get, and it's harder to find, unfortunately. So yeah, there's that.
Even those things, you do the best you can.
Yep.
But then you trust the Lord. You know what I'm saying? For all we know, we could get raptured out of here, and without firing a shot. We don't know.
Where's the fun of that?
Be
What?
That's my preference. I'll have you know. But anyway,
potato.
But the Lord, whatever, just do the best you can. Don't feel stressed out if you can't, because like people have different means. You have different things you can do. We, Jason and I, we don't even know. We don't own a house. There's not much we really own. So I don't know. There's not a whole lot we have to work with as far as. But
but that makes us mobile.
We don't have an RV. It makes it a little more difficult, but you know what I'm saying. We
will find a way.
We trust the Lord for whatever's to come, whatever He has us to do.
That's it. We will find a way, and it's one of those things. I'm crafty enough that if we need a larger vehicle, there'll be enough chaos going on. I can simply pick one up. It'll be fine.
Right, stuff like that. Well, God.
You have
God
to adapt
provide.
To the situation and continue forward.
Yeah, God will provide what we need, what you need when you need it.
Exactly. And so the main thing is focusing on Him and listening to what He wants you to do. You can have the best laid strategies and plans that you've worked on for years laid out, but they will never survive first contact with the enemy. That I can promise you. So you have to be able to adapt and overcome. Although for all you people in the chat room that do like to train with ARs, I can recommend something that I recently purchased that will lessen your cost quite a bit. I recently purchased the 22 long rifle adapter kit from CMMG for AR-15. and it slides right into where your bolt carrier group is, and comes with 3 magazines. And it's actually pretty accurate considering it's 22 long rifle. So, I mean, $50 for 800 rounds versus $200 for roughly 300 rounds. I mean, take your pick. I like to save my actual bullets for combat, should that time come. You hear me out there, Bowman? You need to get yourself one. All right, let's see here. Anybody else have any more questions of an immediate nature? So all I have is a couple of events you guys should be looking out for. For example, India just completely restricted any sort of exports of wheats or grains from their country, and they were a major exporter, just like Ukraine and whatnot. So you're seeing all of the major exporters of grains and wheats being shut down systematically. We have lost most of our production value as far as soy and corn and stuff like that goes. So you combine that, I mean, we're literally facing a perfect storm type scenario, which has been carefully calculated and implemented one step at a time. Let's see here. No more basmati rice. Nope.
It'll be okay.
God will provide for his people. I'm just letting people know that if you have plans of needing flour or anything for your preparedness set up for you to make breads and stuff out of, you should probably jump on it now, because it's gonna be in short supply, and I guarantee it's gonna double or triple in cost over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
We have in this nation been so spoiled for so long that there was another lady that came into my place of work a couple weeks ago, and she said something about going to the doctor's office, and they asked her if she was fasting for this test that she was supposed to have, and she's like, well, no. She's like, my appointment wasn't until 11 o'clock. I can't. She's like, I will be dying by then. And of course I didn't say anything. She's, not trying to, but I thought to myself, if you don't know how to fast until 11 a.m., man, this country's in trouble. But that's not unusual. I'm not picking on her. It's just that people are so, it's addiction.
Yeah, exactly what it
is. Let's call a spade a spade.
They're gluttonous.
It's addiction. And they can't imagine not having, and look, I've got mine too. I'm gonna go in there in a minute and make some paleo brownies, because it'll make me feel better about eating it if they're paleo. Because I have a thing with chocolate. I mean, that's my thing.
It's okay. I'm gonna go start the grill and grill those lamb chops.
Right, I know. But I mean, okay. So tonight, as much as we're not people of any type of means, tonight we're going to be eating lamb and brownies. I mean, that's pretty. That's priority. Yes, but that is the means of kings of the past, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have really truly lived and eaten like kings. The houses and the things. I mean, if you just think of even the houses of that were built in like the 40s and 50s, how small they were. And they didn't have a lot of storage space and stuff. Like, there's a reason people didn't have stuff, and they didn't need stuff. And so as time has progressed, they have just, stuff and our things, and we have just swollen
Oh
to
yeah.
this, to the having to have all this stuff and these things and all this food, and we eat, we gorge ourselves 3 or sometimes more times a day on anything we want, and a bunch of like kids. People eat like dang children because they go out and they don't buy anything they don't eat anything that
Any
has
sort of nutritional value or
any
anything
sort of
to it. It's a bunch
nutrition.
of processed, cancer-causing starches, sugars, and
Right.
nonsense.
And it has come down to spoiled kids and their addictions. And that's just and I can say that because I'm including myself in it because I have my stuff too. But
Yeah, but at least
the
our stuff's sweetened with honey. All
what
right.
but I guess my point being is that people in general in this nation don't have discipline. They don't know how to do without.
No, they don't.
And that's going to be the battle is going to be up here. It's not so much what we actually face as far as like prices and gas prices and inconveniences and those kind of things, which that's a
Well,
real
there's
thing.
no
It's up here.
actual
Is
context anymore. I mean, most people don't know anyone in their family and never will that survived the Great Depression, fought World
right.
War II,
That generation
or
is
anything of that.
almost gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that generation is almost gone. And
They know nothing of what it means to be a third world nation, which
right,
America is rapidly declining into.
right,
So a lot of these guys are going to get hit in the head with a sledgehammer and never see it coming.
right,
And that's going to lead to chaos and pandemonium.
right. Like again, which is the battle is going to be up here. It's how you can it's how you're postured towards Christ first and foremost. But secondly, it's always the hardest, when I'm talking with someone and helping them through their spiritual walk and whatever they're coming out of and whatever they're doing. The demonic stuff is the easy part. And
Oh yeah.
people get so freaked out about demons, and not to say that doesn't deserve respect when you're, dealing with stuff. It does. I'm not diminishing that. But that's the easy part to deal with. If I can identify a demon, yes. Jordan, if you're watching you. Yay, Jordan. Hi, Jordan. It's good to see you too. She's so cute. I want to meet her in person. But the demons, all that to say is that the demonic stuff is the easy part to deal with. The hard part to deal with is our own self, is our own flesh, is our own lack of discipline, is our own lack of being our own pride, the lack of being able to turn around and say you're wrong. That's hard for me. It's hard for me. The reason I'm saying this stuff out loud is because I'm including myself.
Yeah.
It's extremely hard for me to be wrong. So that's why I can say that. But I can tell you from experience that there's freedom in it. And once you can turn around and face it, and you find freedom in it, then you're like, wow,
There's a lot of it that is a simple matter of discipline.
yes.
I mean, it's just like me. I'm heavy set. Don't want to be, but it's not because of my diet either. You
No.
know my diet. You know
Yeah.
how strictly I regulate what I take into my body and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it's also one of those things that requires discipline to get up and run or hike or do weights and stuff every day. But at the time frame that we're entering in, this has to become habit.
Yeah.
This has to be a requirement because best example I can think of is the movie Zombieland. I don't know if any of you guys ever saw that. It's gruesome and cheesy, and it's one of my guilty pleasures. I'll openly admit it. But in the beginning of the
haven't seen
movie,
that
this
one.
one guy is talking about his rules for surviving Zombieland, right?
Okay.
And he talks about the people that were the first to die. And he said, fatties. And then you see this scene of this really heavy set guy trying to outrun this zombie, and you're like, it's a good point. Yep, she gets it. Cardio. Yes.
I hate cardio. I hate it.
I hate it too, but
I make myself almost every morning do 15 minutes on the little stepper thing we have, and bare minimum of doing anything.
That Bowflex stepper thing ain't no joke either.
That's true, but I'm half asleep when I'm doing it, so I'm not really. I mean, that little needle is barely registering as I'm like very, but I make myself do it. But I hate it. I hate cardio. It's the discipline. It's sometimes it's the discipline of making yourself do it, even if you're just kind of.
Well, it's one of those things for me. It's like I can do the bike. I can even do the stepper thing. I can wear out the heavy bag for half hour at a time if I want to. I hate running.
Oh, yeah,
I hate running.
Yeah, and we have an issue in our yard. There's no place for us to run. We're in Memphis. We have a yard, but it has a lot of holes. I'm gonna break an ankle easily by stepping into one of the sinkholes out there. But anyway, neither here nor
Yeah,
there.
Halo was
Neither
walking
here nor
around the backyard one day and actually fell through one of the sinkholes, and I went over there and got him out, and I was like, "That's not good."
Right.
It's like, well,
that would be bad.
I
if
don't
you
think
were-
I'll be sprinting in the backyard
Right.
anytime soon.
Yeah.
Oh well, find somewhere else to train.
Yeah. That's why we have the little machine.
That's awesome, Ren. Glad to hear it.
Zombieland. That'll be next. Zombieland. I've not seen Zombieland.
It's kind of gory, but it's funny.
Oh.
So take what you can get, right?
Yeah. I just haven't, it's like I've got to catch up on these movie things that people talk about. People come in and ask me about hairstyles and like, you remember something? I'm like, oh, thank goodness for Google and phones. I'm like, well, let me look it up. I never know. I don't know celebrities, and I know anyway. Anyway,
I think that's about all that I have.
Bill Murray is Bill Murray in Zombieland?
Bill Murray's in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like Bill Murray.
Bill Murray's in it. Woody Harrelson's in it.
Okay, that's probably good then.
That kid from the one that played in American Ultra. What's his name? He's in it.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know his name either.
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah.
But he's in it. It had a good cast.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Well, okay, so is that any?
Were there any other questions? Did I miss anything? I can't see.
Bowman wants to make an epic comic.
An epic comic.
Twinkies and cardio. Twinkies, gross. You can't consider that food. There's no category. They'll probably make paleo Twinkies, I bet you. Or some version of Twinkies that's paleo. Then you can feel better about it. And then I can eat my paleo brownies.
Do the paleo angel food and then fill it with some coconut whipped cream, There you go.
Then you can wonder, like, why am I not losing weight? Well, it's like
you just ate 15 paleo Twinkies.
Right, yeah.
Why do you think you're not losing weight?
I know. There again, being honest with yourself is the hard thing to do. It's like crucifying the flesh, much harder than expelling demons.
Oh man, I forgot the Twinkies were a big thing in Zombieland. Can you pick the buckshot out, maybe? All right, guys, I think that's going to about do it for us tonight. As more stuff comes up, I'll do some more videos covering
Halo
things.
You told me.
Oh, right, the Halo update. I forgot about that. So we did an ultrasound on Halo
2 weeks.
2 weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. And the ultrasound showed that fatty lipoma or tumor, whatever it was, has significantly shrunk to the point that it's no longer pressing on his colon, which is good. That means that the detox and the herbs and stuff worked. And thanks to everyone that donated, because it made a big difference on us trying to help get him straightened out. He's still having some inflammation issues in his large intestine and in his colon area. We just took him to the vet today to have that stuff checked out. But our doc seems to think that it might be an infection of sorts, so we're putting him on an antibiotic regimen to see if that will take care of it, and then we'll go from there. But he is doing better. He's happy. Well, right now he's sleepy, but
I think it's come down to general geriatric care at the moment,
Yeah.
so there's, the good news is that that one tumor has shrunk. It's not a cancerous tumor, it's a benign, but it
Yeah.
has shrunk down. But all of the herbs and stuff we had him on caused his liver to be inflamed, and so
Yeah.
we had to back off on that, and so it's just this always having to
It's finding the
reevaluate.
balance.
Yeah, mhm,
But given his age, that's to be expected. I mean, he's going to be 13 years old this year.
mhm,
So all things considered, he's actually doing quite well.
mhm.
The other stuff is manageable. It'll just take time for us to find the right mixture of things to bring him back to full health.
Yes, thank you, you guys for praying for Halo. He's a good dog. He's very good. He's very much like a service dog, or
Yeah.
he has acted like a service dog to Jason for years. He's a good dog.
Yep. It's my BFF,
Yeah.
my former partner in crime. Now Chief is my partner in crime, but
Yeah.
Oh, one quick thing before we completely go. If I have made cross comments to anyone on Facebook that came across as that's not right, it probably wasn't right. I'm so used to having to defend myself against people on YouTube and Facebook and stuff like that, especially like there was one on Mike Stibbs stuff the other day. I called out someone that was trying to badmouth me, and then someone made a comment supporting me, and I thought it was about me, and well, I was stupid.
Well,
So,
there you go, admitting that you were wrong. That's a good
well, I
thing.
was wrong. Well, that's the reason why after I
Yeah.
reread his comment, I deleted my original one. It's like,
Like, oh,
nope, he didn't see
sorry.
that. My bad.
Forget all I
Sorry
said a while
about that.
ago, right? Never mind. Just
I thought you
pretend
were
that didn't happen.
attacking me, not them. Oops.
Yeah.
I do that sometimes. What can I say?
Yeah. It's okay.
So,
Facebook is dangerous.
social media is the devil.
Yeah.
But we have to get on social media to complain about social media and say that social media is the devil. So, otherwise, nobody listens to you.
All right.
We appreciate everyone keeping us in prayers and everything. So I'm going to call this a night, and hopefully I will have more videos and stuff uploaded soon, including a breakdown and video on that CMMG 22 long rifle adapter. I'll try my best to do a review on it if I can ever get someone to follow me around with a camera long enough. All right, guys. Well, we're going to call that a night. God bless. God keep y'all safe. And we will see you guys later.